This conference will now be recorded.
Hey, everybody. My name is Dr. Doug Smith. It is 1 o'clock on Monday, so it is time to begin our Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. podcast. This is the podcast where you will hear the truth and the science of what actually happened with the opioid crisis. Speaking of science, this is what we're going to talk about today, okay? Because this is really what it comes down to, okay? When you boil it down to its essence, this is what the whole thing comes down to. And it comes down to a question: what is and what is not science? What is science and what is just somebody's beliefs? Okay. And in science, that is known as the demarcation problem. You can see that on the screen right there. And that's a picture of the father of modern science, Dr. Karl Popper. Okay. And Dr. Popper was very concerned with this concept of the demarcation problem. When does real science stop and pseudoscience begin? And Dr. Popper used as an example of pseudoscience horoscopes. Okay. And Dr. Popper had his own yardstick by which to measure things, his own definition of things. And he used something called the falsification principle, which basically says if you can't prove something is false, then it's not real science. Okay. And Dr. Popper talked about, the difference between Sigmund Freud and Einstein. Okay, Einstein had his relativity theory, and you could prove things were true or prove things were false. Okay, Freud had his psychoanalytic theories, and you can't prove anything is false because it's all just a set of beliefs. Okay, and that is what happened with this opioid crisis. Okay, the psychiatrists and Dr. Popper himself said this. This isn't me talking. This isn't my opinion. Although I agree with it, it's not my opinion. Dr. Popper said the psychiatrists are not practicing science. He said what the psychiatrists do is not science. It's not science because it cannot be subjected to falsification. Okay, somebody says you're an opioid addict. All right, how do you prove you're not? Exactly. It's their opinion. How do you prove somebody's opinion's wrong? Okay, contrast that with, let's say somebody said you had pneumonia. Okay, all right, well, let's go to the hospital. Let's go to the emergency room. Let's do a chest X-ray. Let's look at some blood work. Let's do some blood cultures. All kinds of things we can do to establish a diagnosis of pneumonia and whether pneumonia is true or not. Okay, and if somebody said you have pneumonia and you go to the emergency department and you do a chest X-ray, the blood work, and all the stuff that goes along with it, and there's no pneumonia, well, then that's false. And that's what the falsification principle is. You can prove that it's false. Somebody says you're an opioid addict. All right, how do you prove that false? You can't. It's impossible. And that's why it's not real science. If it can't be proved false, it's not real science. We can prove whether or not you have pneumonia, but we can't prove whether or not you're an opioid addict. Okay, it's just somebody's opinion. That's all psychiatry is. It's somebody's opinion. And Dr. Popper said when you start using somebody's opinion as real science, you're going to get in trouble. That's exactly what happened in this opioid crisis. Okay, people use psychiatry as if it was real science. People believe the diagnosis of opioid addiction as if it was real. It's not a real diagnosis, it's just somebody's opinion. It's based on observations. You went out and bought fentanyl. Okay, well, our people go out and buy fentanyl so they don't get sick. Okay, that's not addiction. Okay, you went out and bought fentanyl because we think you want to get high. Well, you think they want to get high, but that's not why they bought fentanyl. It's not why they bought heroin. It's not why they bought pills. They bought fentanyl. They bought heroin. They bought pills because you can't stand the sickness. Okay, the sickness is the loss of control of the nerves that oversee the internal organs. Okay, it's something Mother Nature never anticipated would ever happen, and it's unbearable. You can't endure it. The only way out of it is go out and buy something. So that's what our podcast is about today. It's about what's called the demarcation problem. Look at the screen. I want you to see the picture of Dr. Popper there on the graphic with the demarcation problem. Okay, what is and what is not real science? That is the demarcation problem. And Dr. Popper said, well, if you can't prove something's false, then it's not real science. Okay, somebody says you have opioid addiction. How are you going to prove false? Can't do a blood test, can't do an EKG, can't do a chest x-ray. There's nothing to prove it false. It's their opinion, and it stands uncontested because there's no way to contest it. You're an opioid addict. No, I'm not. Yes, you are. No, you're not. Well, that's not how science works. Okay, you can't just be an opioid addict because some psychiatrist says you are. Okay, it's not the way science works. It's not the way medicine works. Okay, but the FDA, when they brought the psychiatrist on board as if what the psychiatrist was doing was real science, and now the drug companies are making money off the diagnosis of opioid addiction, and it's going to be darn hard to stop because once companies are making money, they protect it, they build a moat around it, they protect it, and that's where we are right now. It's being protected. All right, let's hold here for today. We'll pick up on this tomorrow. Please like and subscribe to us. Put this podcast on your social media. Put it on everybody else's social media. Get it out there. And we will see you guys tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We're here Monday through Thursday, 1 p.m. My name is Dr. Doug Smith. And this is the podcast where you will hear the truth about the science, about the opioids. Thank you.